Welcome back. We're going to continue in our study of the prophecy of Jeremiah. What a beautiful prophecy it is, and what a beautiful book, and what blessings it is that the Most High has chosen to give us these truths to guide us in these last moments of the earth's history as we know it. So now we have just finished chapter 16 earlier, and we're going to now start chapter 17. And I'm going to start today right in the chapter in this section, because we're going to have to go to some other sections as we go and study through the chapter, as you'll see. But for now, we'll start right here in the chapter itself. Hold on one second. Let me check this. Okay. I don't know why sometimes the chat is not showing and I have to pop it out, but today is one of those days. Okay. Jeremiah chapter 17. Beginning at verse 1, the sin of Judah is written with a pen of iron and with the point of a diamond. It is graven upon the table of their heart and upon the horns of your altar. So the Most High is saying it's written, right? It's there. It cannot be taken away, except we know through Messiah. And this is talking about the sin specifically of Judah. It's talking about the sin of Judah. Okay, because Jeremiah again was a prophet to the southern kingdom of Judah. Jeremiah chapter 17, verse 2. Whilst their children remember their altars and their groves by the green trees upon the high hills, O my mountain in the field, I will give thy substance and all thy treasures to the spoil, and thy high places for sin throughout all thy borders. And thou, even thyself, shalt discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee. And I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not. For ye have kindled a fire in my anger that shall burn forever. So here, again, how many times do we need to hear the Bible tell us that the Most High is going to scatter his people in the land of their enemies? How many times do we need to see that the curse that's upon them only fits one people? How many times we need to see it? Because Jeremiah said it in the last chapter. He said it in previous chapter. We know it's in Deuteronomy. We know it's in Isaiah. We know it's in Ezekiel. We know it's in Zechariah. It's all over the place, right? We know it's in Hosea. So it's all over. Messiah said it himself. And so he's going to cause us. We talked about heritage in the last study, how the Gentiles, the Bible says, will come to the truth with the Israelites and confess that they have inherited lies. But the Israelite has a different heritage. Why do I say that? Because the Israelite, their heritage, their name did not come from them. The name Israel came from Father Yah. And so the inheritance of the Israelite was the promise given to Abraham. And he said, I'm going to cause you to discontinue from your heritage. The heritage of the Israelite is Yah himself and the land and the kingdom given to them. Okay, that was the heritage. That was what they were given. Again, Romans chapter 2. No, I'm sorry. It's Romans chapter 3. Romans chapter 3. Romans chapter 3, beginning at verse 1. Romans chapter 3, beginning at verse 1. I'm going to go from verse 1 down. I'm just going to read verse 1 and 2, actually. What advantage then hath the Jew? Or what profit is there in circumcision? Much every way, chiefly or mainly because that unto them were committed the oracles of Yah. That's the heritage of the Israelite. The Israelites' heritage is all of the oracles, the teachings, the law, the promises. That's the heritage given to Abraham's children, to the children also of Jacob. That is their heritage. So here, again, in Romans chapter 9, Romans chapter 9. Going to begin at verse 1 and go from verse 1 down to verse 5. I say the truth in Messiah, I lie not. My conscience also bearing me witness in the Holy Ghost, that I have great heaviness and continual sorrow in my heart. For I could wish that myself were accursed from Messiah, for my brethren, my kinsmen according to the flesh, who are Israelites, to whom pertaineth the adoption and the glory and the covenants and the giving of the law and the service of Yahweh and the promises, whose are the fathers, and of whom concerning the flesh Messiah came, who is over all, Yah blessed forever. Amen. So the Israelite heritage is the adoption, the covenant, the promises, the glory, the oracles. That's the heritage of the Israelite. That's his origin. Okay. And so in living in our enemy's land, the result of Jeremiah chapter 17 and verse 4, and thou even thyself shalt discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee. Our heritage, we didn't make it up in the sewing basket and make up a Confederate flag and make our own lifestyle, our imagination of our heart, and say that's our heritage. No, the Bible says right here, Yah said, I gave you your heritage. The law, the covenant, the promises, the land, the oracles, the redemption, the adoption, that all came from the Creator. And he caused us to discontinue it in scattering us, as he has said often, into our enemy's land. Again, I'm reinforcing through the word of the Most High why we are in our present condition, why we are here, and how we are getting out. Okay, according to the Bible prophecy, why we are here and how we are getting out. That's, important stuff to know. As you all know, as Israelites, you all would have known, because many times our fathers in the land that we're in now ask the question, why is this happening to us? Why is it that we are always behind? Why is it that we are the most diseased with diabetes and hypertension and heart disease? Why is it that the higher percentage of us are in prison for long-term sentences for non-violent crimes? Why is it that we helped build the nation, and yet others who did not help build the nation will come into the nation and get above us very quickly? Why? Why, when we try to build something in a Tulsa, Oklahoma, or in a Wilmington, North Carolina, or in a Rosewood, Florida, why, when we build something, it gets burnt to the ground? That question's been asked for many centuries, many decades, many scores of years. That question's been asked here in America, and I'm sure if you go to the islands, they ask it the same question. Why is it that we live in ghettos? Now, if you ask the majority, it's because we're lazy, or we're stupid, because we're just naturally violent, because we're just given to crime, because we need them to rule over us to learn how to be civilized, like Christopher Columbus, if you listen to them. But if you listen to the word of the Most High, his word tells us we are from a lineage of kings. We are from a lineage of royalty. Judah is a royal house. Abraham was a prince of the Most High. We come from that lineage, and we lost it because the inheritance given to us by the only true God, the creator of heaven and earth, gave us an inheritance, and we decided to worship, our fathers did, to worship other gods. We decided that. And that's why we are in the present condition where we're being stacked up in prisons disproportionately, where the highest percentage of heart disease and diabetes and hypertension, which is killing people that get the COVID, is with us. While we help build this place in terms of the cotton and the tobacco industries, we helped the initial billionaires of this country when they got us and put us on chain gangs and helped build them railroads that Carnegie got rich off of. It was us. We literally put the work in to build the White House and all of Washington, D.C. And we profited from none of it. The question is why? Well, it's because we have discontinued from our heritage. We have been discontinued from our heritage. But again, the Bible tells us, and again, we get the truth from the word. Don't get it from the media. Don't get it from historians that try to tell you, well, we don't want to talk about slavery. It makes us look bad as a nation. Don't get it from people. Don't get it from man. And we're going to talk more about that. Get it from here. Not from no church either. Go to your father. Read your Bible. Pray to your father. Messiah taught us. He said, pray to your father in secret. And your father, which seeth in secret, will reward you openly. Ask him. Don't ask Jesse Jackson. Don't ask Louis Farrakhan. Do not ask Reverend Al Sharpton. Ask Yah. He will teach you. None of those men have been given the spirit of righteousness from the Father to lead you in truth, but instead, unfortunately, they're being used to add to the Babylonian confusion. As their fathers were. When you say, who are their fathers? Judas. Bill O'Neill. That was their father. That's where they get this stuff from. Okay? I know it sounds hard, but truth is truth anyhow, isn't it? Truth is truth anyhow, isn't it? Okay? So now the Most High is calling us in these last days to return to our heritage as descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob come into these lands in chains. He's calling us to return to him, as we're going to see here in chapter 17. Let's continue. Jeremiah chapter 17, verse 5, from verse 5 down to verse 9. Jeremiah 17, 5 to 9. Thus saith Yahweh, cursed be the man that trusteth in man, and maketh flesh his arm, whose heart departeth from Yahweh. For he shall be like the heath in the desert, and shall not see when good cometh, but shall inhabit the parched places in the wilderness, in a salt land and not inhabited. Blessed is the man that trusteth in Yahweh, and whose hope Yahweh is. For he shall be as a tree planted by the waters, that spreadeth forth her roots by the river, and shall not see when heat cometh, but her leaf shall be green, and shall not be careful in the year of drought, neither shall cease from yielding fruit. The heart is deceitful above all things, and desperately wicked. Who can know it? One more verse, verse 10. I, Yahweh, search the heart. I try the reins, even to give every man according to his ways, according to the fruit of his doings. The Most High is now calling us, about, I'd say it was probably 50 years ago. There was a famous entertainer, a black woman, famous entertainer. Her name was Pearl Bailey. She was a famous entertainer. And Pearl Bailey, actually, as an entertainer, as many of the Hebrews today got wealth from entertaining folks, particularly entertaining the Caucasian people. That's how a lot of us get ahead in this country, unfortunately. And it's not a lot of us in terms of our total population. I mean, if you take every Hebrew wealthy athlete from basketball or hockey or baseball or track and field, or every wealthy Hebrew from the acting field or the entertainment and singing field, you could add them all together. And it's a drop in the bucket compared to the rest of us that's in the struggle. Drop. I mean, even in the United States alone, there are an estimated 40 to 50 million Hebrews. That's not even including those that don't know they're Hebrews from the Hispanic heritage. That's not even including them. That's just straight Hebrews, descendants of the slaves that came on them ships. About 46 million of us, right? And if you take all of the millionaires from all of those fields I just named and you add them together, there might be, and I mean maybe, 1,000 of them. Maybe. Compared to 46 million of us that are mostly in the struggle. But they put that out in front of people as if it's the norm for us. And they put that out and our people go after it because they see an escape route there. They used to tell me when I was a kid, my father and on both sides, my father from the side that came up from the slaves in Florida, whose father was a white rapist and left my grandmother after he raped her with my father. And those that came from the Jamaican side, that was the Maroons, they both taught me, get your education. Make sure you get your education. That's your ticket. You got a brain, they used to tell me. Use it. Get your education and you will make it. That education, I got it. I got 3 degrees. And I got 6 figures in student loan debt. And while I am getting paid more than I would have without the degrees, it ain't really caused me to get ahead because I'm still a slave to debt. And I'm not the only one. I know I'm talking to a whole bunch of y'all out there that know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay? Know exactly what it is. So we're trying to get out the hole. And athletes are being shown as our examples to get out the hole. But there's not really a lot of them. They put them out there a lot, but there's not a lot of them. Okay? And Pearl Bailey said, I tried rich and I tried poor, and I like rich better. And that simple truth that she said shows our condition. So oppressed are we in our enemy's land that if you could get it any kind of way you could get it, what we say in our community, if you could go get that paper any kind of way you could get that paper, you go get it. Okay? And I don't blame them. How can you? After seeing all the stuff that we go through here. I don't blame them. I don't curse them. Although one day I know those of the rich athletes and those of the wealthy class among us, among the Hebrews, are going to have to make a decision. It's not for me to make the decision for them or to tell them when they're going to make the decision. Father's Spirit will let them know there's going to be a decision that got to be made. The rich young ruler was a Hebrew. Let me say that again. The rich young ruler was a Hebrew, and Messiah made him make a decision. Sell all you have, Messiah said, and give to the poor and come and follow me. And he went away sorrowful. You know why? Because he said, I tried rich. And I like that better. But we're coming to a time where all the dollars in the world are going to be worthless. Well, because of what Yah is going to bring on this planet, all the businesses in the world, the Bible says nobody's going to buy their merchandise. Nobody's going to have the money. It's not going to count for nothing. It's going to come to nothing. Right before that, it's going to be just like it is now. It's going to be just like it is now. Right before that. And then at that time, right before, the Spirit of Yah will talk to these people, the LeBron Jameses of the world. Okay, they're going to talk to these people, right? The Denzel Washingtons of the world, They're going to talk to the Jamie Foxxes and the Will Smiths and the Kanye West. And he's going to say to them, sell what you have and give to the poor. It's not for me to say when he's saying it. I'm not saying it to them, but he's going to, in each individual case, he will let them know. And they will have to make a decision at that time. I believe some of them are going to give it all up and come to the truth. Like Lauryn Hill did. Lauryn Hill did it a while ago. That was courageous. If y'all know the Lauryn Hill story, Lauryn Hill was with the Fugees, one of my favorite groups in the 90s. Some of y'all know the Fugees. She had that voice like Roberta Flack. She sang Roberta Flack's song. She had that voice like that. And she, for a time, gave it up. It was hard. And she suffered. She had like 5 kids. And she tried to come back from it. And she hasn't really been able to make it back. She does shows once in a while, but she never really been able to make it back. And the reason is because she done gave it up. She's outside of it. It's a hard thing to do. Because if you try poor and you like rich, you're going to like rich better. There's no question. But all of us are going to be called to make a decision. For truth or not. Whether we're trusting in Yahweh and his word, or in man, all of us going to be called to make that decision. Now, like I said, I'm not putting a timing frame on it. It's not for me to say, now all y'all need to do it. That's not my job. Nor I would be cursing myself to do it because that's not my business. Okay, that's not my business. But my business is to tell you it's coming. And so the people they propping in front of us, some of them are just straight sellouts, man. I see them sometimes on a YouTube video and I can't even look at them. I'll be like, I can't even look. Some of these people are just straight. And I'm talking about athletes. I mean, some of them in the news media that are pushing these lies on behalf of these corporations and they look like us. I can't watch them. I can't. I see Judas right there and I'll be like, man, you sell out for what? For what? Because a little $1 million contract they give you at a TV station? But that's what they do. All of the people in those positions are going to have to make a decision one day. And the day's coming, and they're going to each know. And it's going to be written in the book. It's going to come on them strong to give up this stuff. Give it all up. It's not going to be easy. That's what happened to brother Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson was being pulled. He was under the control of the dark powers. That brother was probably one of the most talented. I think most people will agree. You got to put him in the least top 3 of the most talented entertainers that ever lived on this planet. Right? I mean, am I lying? That brother, he could do it, right? He could sing and dance, but he was under control of the dark powers. He was trying to decide whether he should stay or leave. And what he was trying to do was keep the fruits of his labor, the fruits of his entertainment business, but still get away from the controlling powers. And you see what happened. He ended up dying because you can't have it both ways. You either got to cleanly break from it completely and lose all that you have gained in Satan's kingdom, or just stay in Satan's kingdom. That's why Messiah said it's hard for a rich man to enter the kingdom. It's hard because if you tasted poor and you tasted rich, you're going to like rich better. There's no question. LeBron James grew up in projects in Akron, Ohio. His mother was a single parent, raising him and his brethren. And that boy was talented. I remember LeBron James was on the cover of Sports Illustrated when he was 16 years old. He was ready for the NBA at age 16. Now, that's a rare thing. But because he had to wait, so he waited till he was 18. And when he came at 18 into the NBA, even at age 18, he was a man among boys. That's how ridiculously talented he is. So I don't blame LeBron for all the things he's got. He tried poor and he tried rich. He's going to like rich better. But LeBron and all those in similar scenarios are going to have to make a decision one day. And it's not going to be easy. I don't blame the brothers coming up in that scenario, man, because we've seen what happened to us in this country. And even though he is definitely not the norm, he's still the bloodline. Y'all hearing what? He's still the bloodline. Okay? And one day they all going to have to make a decision. And some of them are going to give it up. Most of them, unfortunately, will not. And they're going to be caught with a whole bunch of useless dollars. When it all hits the fan, they're going to be caught with a whole bunch of useless dollars and too late. That's why I don't judge the brothers in them scenarios, especially where they coming from. If they come out of neighborhoods that have been redlined and created to destroy us, and they make it out and they getting paid. I'm not gonna judge them at all, man. How you gonna do that? But everybody's gonna have to make a decision one day. Everybody. And the Bible say, "Cursed be the man that trusteth in man." Let's look at that further. The very first psalm I don't know if it's the first one that David wrote, but it's the first one they put in the book of Psalms. It's the first one. Psalms 1. It's related to this very powerful psalm. Psalm 1. Psalm 1. It's only 6 verses, Psalm 1. Notice what it says here. Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. But his delight is in the law of Yahweh, and in his law doth he meditate day and night. And he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, that bringeth forth his fruit in his season. His leaf also shall not wither, and whatsoever he doeth shall prosper. The ungodly are not so, but are like the chaff which the wind driveth away. Therefore the ungodly shall not stand in the judgment, nor sinners in the congregation of the righteous. For Yahweh knoweth the way of the righteous, but the way of the ungodly shall perish. And the other day we talked about how in Psalm 32 it defines what ungodliness is. Ungodliness is an unrepentant person. An unrepentant person is an ungodly person. A person that believes in lies, that has guile in their mouth, is an unrepentant person. That's an ungodly person. Versus the godly man is the one that meditates on Yah's law, that meditates on his law and has the spirit of Yahweh upon him, that is repentant and that has no guile in their mouth because they are repentant by the blood of the Lion of the tribe of Judah. So here in Jeremiah chapter 17, it tells us, verse 7, blessed is the man that trusteth in Yahweh, whose hope Yahweh is. For he shall be as a tree planted by the waters that spreadeth forth her roots by the river. Just like we read just now in Psalm 1. And shall not see when heat cometh, but her leaf shall be green, and shall not be careful in the year of drought, neither shall cease from yielding fruit. The heart is deceitful above all things, and desperately wicked. Who can know it? I, Yahweh, search the heart. I try the reins, even to give every man according to his ways, according to the fruit of his doings. As a partridge sitteth on eggs, and hatcheth them not, so he that getteth riches and not by right shall leave them in the midst of his days, and at his end shall be a fool. A glorious high throne from the beginning is the place of our sanctuary. O Yahweh, the hope of Israel. All that forsake thee shall be ashamed, and they that depart from me shall be written in the earth, because they have forsaken Yahweh, the fountain of living waters. That fountain of living waters is a theme that's in several places in the Bible. As a matter of fact, Isaiah 58 says that we shall build the old waste places. We shall, restore the foundations of many generations, and then talks about us being the fountain of living waters. And then Messiah say, he that followeth Messiah say, shall be as the scriptures say, out of his belly shall flow rivers of living water. That living water is what Messiah offered the woman at the well when he told her, Father wants those that worship him in spirit and in truth. He seeketh such to worship him, and they're going to get water that they'll never be thirsty again. Same thing here. It's a theme throughout the Bible. Okay, the living waters. And as a matter of fact, as we read earlier today, when we're in the kingdom, both Ezekiel in chapter 47 and Revelation in chapter 22 talk about what? Living waters coming from the throne. Remember that? Living waters coming from the throne. Where does that origin begin? In Genesis. Out of the Garden of Eden went out rivers of water, right? And it became four rivers. Remember that? So it started there. And so rivers of waters is a theme. And the Bible tells us that Yahweh, our Father, is the origin of living waters. Messiah, his son, has also been given by the Father to be also the one that leads us to living waters. The Bible says in John, where Messiah said that to us, where he said, out of his belly shall go rivers of living water. The Bible explains it itself. It said, on this he spake of the Spirit. It is the Father's Spirit that gives us the fountain of living water. And so when we forsake Yah for man, we're forsaking his spirit. That's the only thing that can cause us to overcome in this life. We cannot overcome simply by deciding, I'm going to obey the commandments. You cannot obey the commandments without the Spirit of the Father guiding you. You cannot receive the Spirit of the Father without true repentance. So unrepentant hearts that think they could just obey the commandments, no, you cannot do that. And that's why that's the answer to all this. How are you going to keep all 600 laws? I keep anything Messiah, Father, teaches me by the power of his Spirit. Because it's not by might nor by power, correct? But by Yah's Spirit, right? So here it's telling us, because they have forsaken Yahweh, the fountain of living waters. See, verse 14, Jeremiah chapter 17, verse 14. Jeremiah begins to speak here. He does that all through this book. It's powerful. You know, you see him speaking, the Messiah speaking. It's almost like he's talking to himself, right? Because the Father's Spirit is speaking to him and he's speaking back, right? People might think he's crazy. He's not crazy. He's the most sane man in Israel at this time, right? Okay, Jeremiah chapter 17, verse 14. Heal me, O Yahweh, and I shall be healed. Save me, and I shall be saved, for thou art my praise. Behold, they say unto me, where is the word of Yahweh? Let it come now. As for me, I have not hastened from being a pastor to follow thee. Neither have I desired the woeful day. Thou knowest that which came out my lips was right before thee. Be not a terror unto me. Thou art my hope in the day of evil. Let them be confounded that persecute me, but let not me be confounded. Let them be dismayed, but let not me be dismayed. Bring upon them the day of evil and destroy them with double destruction. That's what was happening to Jeremiah. He was the mouthpiece for Yahweh in the southern kingdom. And as we explained many times, generally speaking, unfortunately, it's our own people that come strongest against us. Unfortunately, the enemy uses our own people to be a Judas, to be a Bill O'Neill, right? To be that brother that was in the mosque in New Jersey that put the shotgun blast in Malcolm's chest. He uses our people against us. To be Reverend Al Sharpton or Jesse Jackson. He uses our people against us. J. Edgar Hoover said that they were trying to stop the rise of a black Messiah. That's what he said. That's FBI documents. He's trying to stop the rise. That homosexual that ran the FBI, he said he was trying to stop the rise of a black Messiah. And one of the ways they did that was not just by killing a Malcolm or murdering a Fred Hampton, but they replaced them with their own man, Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, Louis Farrakhan. They replaced them with their own man. And you can tell that these are them, and not just because you read the word and you can see how off they are from the word. Not just that, but they're still alive. Why would Malcolm be murdered and Louis Farrakhan not? Can you answer that question? Why would Khalid Abdul Muhammad be poisoned and Reverend Al Sharpton gets his own television show? How does that happen? Can you answer that? Let's continue. Jeremiah chapter 17. Jeremiah chapter 17. Beginning at verse 19. Thus saith Yahweh unto me. So now at this point, the Spirit of the Father is now speaking back to Jeremiah, answering him. Jeremiah chapter 17, verse 19. Thus saith Yahweh unto me. Go and stand in the gate of the children of the people whereby the kings of Judah come in, and by the which they go out in all the gates of Jerusalem. So the gate was the main part. So it was the main thoroughfare where the kings came in. Now, there were several gates. As we know, the New Jerusalem had 12 gates, right? So it's the Old Jerusalem, probably a copy of that with 12 gates. But there's a main gate where the king comes in. And he told Jeremiah, I want you to stand at that gate because I need these kings to hear you. So Jeremiah is now, what we say today, Jeremiah is at this point going to speak truth to power. He's going to speak truth to power. Now, the Most High had promised him earlier in the prophecy, as we read, he said, they're going to fight against you, but they will not prevail against you, for I am with you to deliver you. So he's promised Jeremiah, you're going to deliver. So he's sending Jeremiah in dangerous places. I mean, as you would know, John the Baptist spoke truth to power. The Edomite king was trying to act like he was us. And so John the Baptist said, that woman you married, not your wife. That's your brother's wife. And when he opened his mouth like that, he got his head cut off. Okay, for the glory of Yahweh. And I say that literally, for the glory of Yah. Not everybody got to suffer like that. But he promised Jeremiah, I'm going to deliver you from these people, your own people that's going to try to kill you. So now he's telling him, I need you to go to the main gate and I'm going to speak some words through you for the king. Okay? Jeremiah chapter 17, verse 20. And say unto them, hear ye the word of Yahweh, ye kings of Judah and all the inhabitants of Jerusalem that enter in by these gates. Thus saith Yahweh, take heed to yourselves, and bear no burden on the Sabbath day, nor bring it in by the gates of Jerusalem. Neither carry forth a burden out of your houses on the Sabbath day. Neither do ye any work, but hallow ye the Sabbath day, as I commanded your fathers. Now, wait. The seventh day Sabbath is a part of the covenant. Now, while we really can't obey the feasts in our enemy's land the way we were supposed to, and again, I'm not knocking people that try to keep feasts. Go ahead and commemorate what was given to our fathers. But please don't try to make it a test of fellowship with the Israelite nation. Don't try to make it as if somebody that's not keeping the feast in their enemy's land, something is wrong with them, okay? Because you're not really keeping it either. You got to ask Massa for your days off if you want to keep it correctly. And as long as you got to ask Massa for your days off, you cannot be calling yourself really keeping the feast. But I understand if you want to get together a couple of days in the area of a feast to commemorate or to get a foretaste of what we're going to have. Praise the Most High Yahweh. But the covenant of Yah is not a feast. And the seventh day Sabbath is part of the covenant. Now, I want to give mercy to all of y'all in our enemy's land. Now, listen, we are in our enemy's land, okay? And we have been coming out of darkness into the marvelous light, okay? And so some of us are not yet of the strong enough faith to stand for the Sabbath. And I'm not trying to blame y'all if you're coming out of the darkness, okay? But pray to your Father, and he will give you the courage and the wisdom to stand for the seventh day Sabbath of the covenant. That we can do. That the Bible shows our fathers doing no matter where we do. As a matter of fact, Moses was in Egypt, and the Pharaoh got mad because Moses came back to our brethren, our fathers, and said to them to keep the Sabbath, and they started doing it, and Pharaoh got mad. Remember that? He said, you make the people to rest from their labors. He said, now we're not going to give you no more straw to make brick, because y'all need to get to work, because the heathen only cares about exploiting us for our labor. That was true then, and it's still true today. Okay, it's still true today. But Moses went down into Egypt and taught our fathers to get back to keeping the Sabbath that Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob had been given. And so it caused them trouble. Now I'm saying to you Israelites here, I'm not trying to tell you you're cursed for not keeping the Sabbath in your enemy's land. But I'm telling you to pray, because the Father will honor you when you obey his Sabbath. He will. I'm a witness. I had a job that I liked. I was about 20 years old, and I had a job at Chase Manhattan Bank down on Wall Street. I loved my job because it was a job that I would work from 5 p.m. until 3 a.m. in the morning, and I got paid well, and I would work at night, and I had all day. I was a young boy, so I had all day to get into trouble during the course of a day, but I loved the job. But when I was convicted about the Sabbath, I was 20, and I think I was 21, and I came, and I didn't even ask. My supervisor would later say to me, why didn't you just come to me? I would have put you on the days. I understand your conviction of the Sabbath. She told me that. But before I could do anything, I was scared that I would lose my nerve. I was scared that the Most High would be disappointed when the conviction came to me and I was 21. I resigned. I resigned from the job. Didn't ask nobody nothing, didn't say nothing, just resigned. And that's when she asked me why. And I said, because I want to keep the Sabbath, because they had me working on Friday night. Now, I'm not suggesting, please don't take this as a suggestion that you should do that. I did that. And it hurt me for a while. I mean, I was working temp jobs. I had a good paying job, benefits and everything. I left it. And I was working temp for about, I worked temp for another 4 years after that. 4 or 5 years working a temp. I couldn't get a permanent job. I also didn't realize at the time when I left the job that I had warrants out for my arrest. I didn't know I had warrants out. He said, how would you not know that? Well, I got arrested for possession of marijuana when I was 19. I had, and you know what happened? The courts assume because I'm black that I know how courts work. I did not know. I didn't understand. I didn't tell my mother or my father what happened. Me and my brother both got caught with weed on us, and they arrested us. It was midnight out in Long Island, and they brought us before a judge, and they said to come back in such 3 months or something like that. But me and my brother were living. I was at that time 19. My brother was 16. We was on our own, and we were literally trying to scrape together $5 for food at times, right? So I couldn't come back. I was in New York City at that time, living in Manhattan, and I couldn't come back, to Long Island. I had the money. So I called the court and I said, this is my situation. And the lady said to me, we will reschedule it and we'll let you know. I left it at that. Never heard from her again. And I went on with life. I was 19. I went on with life. I started trying to work, trying to eat. And so I left this job that they saw my records. The bank gets your records. And they asked me about it. And I told them what happened. And they said, okay, don't worry about it. So I didn't worry about it. But all that time, they had warrants out for me. And how I found out is when I came to Christ, when I became a Christian, I took a law class as part of my college. It was part of my, something you had to take to get enough credits. So I took this law class. And in the law class, it talked about arraignment. And it came to me and I said, wait a minute, what's going on? So I went to the professor and told him my situation. He said, you better go to the court. He said, they're probably looking for you. And I said, I don't know how they would be looking for me. They got my address. Like, why wouldn't they come pick me up? Right? I didn't know. Man, when I came out, I prayed. I was scared. And I came out I went out there. I went to the court. Man, it was the same judge. The same judge that had seen me now. It was 1988. He had seen me in 1981. It was 7 years later. And he was mad at your boy. Even the prosecuting attorney said, look, you obviously, that was stupid. You turned your life around. You're getting ready to graduate from college. We're going to just drop this. It's going to be like a parking ticket. That's what he said. We're going to drop it. But the judge said, what you promised him? Because the judge was a racist. And he said, no, we're not taking that. He said, why you didn't show up to my courtroom? And I told him, I didn't understand what, he said, you should have known. Like, you know what the court is like. That's what he said to me. You know what it's like. Like, because I'm black, I'm supposed to know what the court is. I didn't know nothing about that. And I told him, I said, you took a class. You took a class. Like, black people are not supposed to take classes. And all this time, the prosecuting attorney is yelling at him, Your Honor, not my attorney. I ain't have an attorney. The prosecuting attorney was yelling at him. Your Honor, we made a deal. The state is satisfied. He told the prosecutor, he said, shut up. The prosecutor left his desk and walked up behind the judge's desk there. And he said, I told you, get away from he said, get away from here. He was mad. And he said, how much money you got on you? And I had $50. He said, bail is set at $50. And then they dropped it. But you see, all of that was because I quit the job. And I took a stand for the Sabbath. But I didn't know. But ever since then, I have never had a job where I could not keep the Sabbath. Ever since then. I worked in banks. I worked in places. I worked in all different types of places. Even like I said, one time I worked in a place and I didn't think there was going to be a Sabbath issue because they asked me what days I was available for work. And I said Monday through Friday. And I get on the job and the supervisor says, well, we need you to come in this Saturday. And I said, no, you don't. She said, yes, we do. She said, that's part of your job. I said, no, it's not. She said, you got hired, understand you're going to work Saturdays. I said, that's not true. I said, I got hired. And I said, look, and she said, we're going to have to call HR. And she did. And they told her, he said he's only available Monday to Friday, and you hired him. And the Most High blessed me because she was so mad at me. She was trying to get me fired, right? This is the truth. I ended up taking her job. I became the manager. That's a true story. Because I did not, I said, no, I'm not working on Saturday. I told you I can't do that. That was the only time in the whole time, that was from 1983 all the way to now, was the only time anybody ever gave me even a question about the Sabbath. And I believe it's because the initial stand that I took, though I had to suffer a little bit, that's what happened. But again, I'm not trying to express to you all that you should just do that. If I had to do it again, I would have talked to the supervisor beforehand and she would have switched me to days and there would be no problem. But the conviction on me was so strong, I didn't want to hesitate. I was a young kid, So I'm saying to y'all, pray to your Father for guidance that you can keep the seventh-day Sabbath. Even in our enemy's land, we can keep the covenant anywhere. The seventh-day Sabbath is part of the covenant. It's one covenant, okay? It's with us forever, wherever we are. Okay, so pray to your Father that you can keep the covenant. I don't want y'all to feel forced to try to take a stand where you're not ready to take. The Most High doesn't do that. You take a stand as you feel conviction, and He will bless you. You might have to suffer a little bit. I mean, I told you, right? But just do it with wisdom. Do it with wisdom. Don't do it on impulse. Do it with wisdom. Ask Him, because He will bless us. And that's part of our awakening, coming back to the covenant. Coming back to the covenant is part of our awakening. So we have to learn that. That's not something we know because we brought up in the heathen land, right? And there's some occupations that require you to work on the Sabbath that the Most I don't have a problem with. Like if you're a nurse or a doctor and you got to take care of somebody on the Sabbath, sick is sick, right? That's no problem. Or if it's the middle of January, and it's 10 degrees outside and you got 6 feet of snow and your electricity's out and and you're the electrician, you got to go cut the line or put the lines back up. You got to do that, right? Otherwise, person's going to freeze to death. So there's some occupation, or you're a fireman or you're a policeman, right? Or you work in the healthcare field. There's some occupations where you have to work on the Sabbath because it's life. The Most I don't believe He don't hold that accountable to you. But my boss once, when I became the manager, he said, you know what, why don't you work on Saturday? And I told him, I said, Kevin's name was Kevin. I said, Kevin, you will never get me in here on Saturday. That's not going to happen. So he said, all right. He said, all right. He said, but why not? I said, because it's the Sabbath. And I said, it's the seventh-day Sabbath. It's part of the covenant. I'm an Israelite. I told him at that time I knew who I was. I said, I'm an Israelite. I keep the covenant of Yah. I said, I'm keeping the Sabbath. My man, and by that time, the Most High blessed me so that any branch, and I'm telling you the truth, any branch I went in became the #1 producing branch. Everyone I went in. It got to the point where my manager would say, I'm going to put you in this one because it was one of the lowest produced and it'd go to the top. Because the Most High was blessing my work. And I never worked the Sabbath. And so he would say, well, suppose somebody's dying. I said, man, we talking about a bank, man. I said, this is money. Ain't nobody dying. I told him, this ain't no hospital. He said, well, what happens if the bank burned down on the Sabbath? I said, well, it'll still be burned down on Sunday, wouldn't it? I can't save it. You understand? But see, I had taken the stand for the Sabbath. And he blessed every time I would go to a branch. He took me to this one. Those of y'all in Washington, D.C., you know what I'm talking about when I say U Street. He sent me to U Street, right? When it just started, he sent me to U Street. Those of you in Washington, D.C., know where U Street is, right? So he sent me to U Street, right? I was at a branch in U Street. I was right across the street from that famous restaurant that everybody comes from all over the country. They got a picture of Obama I forgot the name, but they got a picture of Obama on the brick wall on the side of the restaurant. I was right across the street. We got robbed by gunpoint one time, but I wasn't worried about it. That branch was the lowest performing branch in all of the bank in the whole DMV area. You put your boy in there, and within 2 quarters, that branch was #1. And people was like, "How is he doing it?" And I knew it was the Most High doing it. I knew it. I knew it. And so that, brethren, was because the Most High blessed me because I took a stand in 1983 for the Sabbath. So when he gives you that faith, when it's time for you to take your stand, and he'll give you the conviction. When it's time, move with wisdom and he will bless your way. But this is important for him, for us to learn the Sabbath day. There's going to be a lot of people that enter into the kingdom having never kept the Sabbath because they were ignorant of it. They didn't know. And he's going to bless them. They're going to learn on the sea of glass. That's going to be the first Sabbath they keep, on the sea of glass. But because we've all been in our enemies' lands and we didn't even know who we were, right? We're just awakening as to who we are. And so he's going to bless you to be able to keep the Sabbath. It's not for anybody to tell you that you need to risk your job, your livelihood, your food to stand for the Sabbath. That's not for me to say, because then I have to be responsible for you, right? Anybody that tells you that better be ready to pay your bills. You hear me? Anybody telling you if you don't keep the Sabbath, you curse, you need to leave your job now, they better be ready to pay your bills for you. And I'll tell you what, your boy is not. So I'm not going to say to you, quit your job. I'm not going to do it. But I want you to ask your Father, because he will bless you. When he shows you the conviction, he will bless you to keep the Sabbath. Okay, he'll bless you. And somebody asks how. It's not even important, brethren. All you got to know is that it's from sunset Friday to sunset Sabbath. Don't even ask it. Don't let these people mess you up. It changes every month and all that garbage. It's from sunset Friday to sunset Sabbath. You want to know what time? 6 p.m. 6 p.m. You want to know what time. Okay, but let Yah guide you in how you do that. Let him guide you, and he will. Don't force it. Don't be foolish like I was. Don't be impulsive. Move in wisdom. But you're going when he does give you the conviction, stand firm. Stand firm. And be polite. That's what I said. You know what, ma'am? No, you're not going to get me in this. And she said, why? She said, I told you I work Monday to Friday. I put that on my application. I'm willing to work overtime. You need me to work during the week. No problem. If I need to come in on Sunday. No, the bank closed on Sunday. I said, well, I can't do nothing about that. But I can't work on Sabbath. That's a religious conviction. It's a religious conviction. And somebody asked me, one of them one time asked me, can you bring a letter from your pastor? You know what I told him? I am the pastor. I said, I am the pastor. You want me to write you a letter? I could write a letter. I am the pastor. So then they said, forget it. Don't worry. See, brethren, but I just gave you a letter because that's what we're dealing with right here in Jeremiah chapter 17, because the Israelites had lost sight of the Sabbath and worshiping other gods in the land. They had lost sight of the Sabbath. I know it's hard to believe, but they did. That's why he had to be reminded right here. Jeremiah the Most High was trying to give them room, give them space to repent. He was trying to do it. And he told them, y'all, you need to get back to keeping the Sabbath. You're in the land, in the promised city, with the temple. You need to come back to keep the Sabbath. They had no excuse, but they were worshiping all these other gods. Now, as a result, of course, here we are in our enemy's land worshiping other gods. Right? Here we are worshiping other gods. This is what it is. So let's continue. Jeremiah chapter 17. I'm going to start again at verse 21. Thus saith Yahweh, take heed to yourselves and bear no burden on the Sabbath day, nor bring it in by the gates of Jerusalem. Neither carry forth a burden out of your houses on the Sabbath day. Neither do ye any work, but hallow ye the Sabbath day, as I commanded your fathers. But they obeyed not, neither inclined their ear, but made their neck stiff, that they might not hear, nor receive instruction. And it shall come to pass, if ye diligently hearken unto me, saith Yahweh, to bring in no burden through the gates of this city on the Sabbath day, but hallow the Sabbath day, to do no work therein. Then shall there enter into the gates of this city kings and princes sitting upon the throne of David, riding in chariots and on horses, they and their princes, the men of Judah and the inhabitants of Jerusalem. And this city shall remain forever. And they shall come from the cities of Judah and from the places from about Jerusalem and from the land of Benjamin and from the plain and from the mountains and from the south, bringing burnt offerings and sacrifices and meat offerings and incense and bringing sacrifices of praise unto the house of Yahweh. But if ye will not hearken unto me to hallow the Sabbath day and not to bear a burden, even entering in at the gates of Jerusalem on the Sabbath day. Then will I kindle a fire in the gates thereof, and it shall devour the palaces of Jerusalem, and it shall not be quenched. So this, when he talks about, notice what he said, there shall be kings and princes sitting upon the throne of David, riding in horses, they and their princes, the men of Judah and the inhabitants of Jerusalem. That is also, as you know, the promise in the book of Revelation. Notice again, Revelation chapter 21. Revelation chapter 21. We're going to start at verse 9. Revelation chapter 21, verse 9. And there shall come unto me, and there came unto me one of the seven angels, which had the seven vials full of the seven last plagues, and talked with me, saying, Come hither, and I will show thee the bride, the Lamb's wife. And he carried me away in the spirit to a great and high mountain, and showed me that great city, the holy Jerusalem, descending out of heaven from Yahweh, having the glory of Yahweh. And her light was like unto a stone most precious, even like a jasper stone, clear as crystal, and had a wall great and high, and had 12 gates, and at the gates 12 angels, and names written thereon, which are the names of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. On the east 3 gates, and on the north 3 gates, on the south 3 gates, and on the west 3 gates. And the wall of the city had 12 foundations, and in them the names of the 12 apostles of the Lamb. And he that talked with me had a golden reed to measure the city, and the gates thereof, with the wall thereof. And the city lieth 4 square, and the length is as large as the breadth. And he measured the city with the reed, 12,000 furlongs. The length and the breadth and the height of it are equal. And he measured the wall thereof 144 cubits, according to the measure of a man, that is, of the angel. And the building of the wall of it was of jasper, and the city was pure gold like unto clear glass. And the foundations of the wall of the city were garnished with all manner of precious stones. The first foundation was jasper, the second sapphire, the third chalcedony, the fourth emerald, the fifth sardonyx, the sixth sardius, the seventh chrysolite, the eighth beryl, the ninth topaz, the 10th chrysoprasus, the 11th jacinth, the 12th amethyst. And the 12 gates were 12 pearls. Every several gate was of 1 pearl. And the street of the city was pure gold, as it were transparent glass. And I saw no temple therein, for the Most High Al Shaddai and the Lamb are the temple of it. The city had no need of the sun, neither of the moon to shine in it, for the glory of Yahweh did lighten it, and the Lamb is the light thereof. And the nations of them which are saved shall walk in the light of it, and the kings of the earth shall bring their glory and honor into it. And the gates shall not be shut at all by day, for there shall be no night there. And they shall bring the glory and honor of the nations into it. And there shall in no wise enter into it anything that defileth, neither whatsoever worketh abomination or maketh a lie, but they which are written in the Lamb's book of life. Yes, I'll tell you what, they'll be keeping the Sabbath there, won't they? Yes, they will. They'll be keeping the Sabbath there. Even though the gates will be always open, no man will bring a burden on the Sabbath day. No man will do it. Praise the Most High. So that was Jeremiah chapter 17. Praise the Most High Yah. By the grace of the Most High, we will continue next Friday with Jeremiah chapter 18. What a blessing. What a blessing this Hebrew prophet is. Praise the Most High Yah. May the Most High bless you and keep you. May he cause his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May he lift up his countenance upon you. May you also be in that kingdom. And may he give you peace while we're here. Shalom.